Now at 10, a mysterious string of lights spotted in the sky this morning. This video is from Converse, but people seem to spot the same thing in Austin and Houston. Meteorologist Andrew Wilson tries to get to the bottom of these sightings.
If you were up early this morning, you may have seen what looked to be a string of lights moving across the sky. This string of lights could be seen across much of the Lone Star State, including right here in San Antonio. Now, Sean Codd captured this video of the lights visible from Converse. No, this wasn't aliens, but it was something well higher up than what an airplane would fly at. Our sister station in Houston did some research into the lights moving across the sky, and the most reasonable explanation for these lights stems back to the Starlink satellite system. The satellites are a part of a network being built by SpaceX to hopefully provide worldwide internet access one day. The company just deployed 60 Starlink satellites into space through the Falcon 9 rocket that took off from Cape Canaveral, Florida just yesterday. SpaceX is hoping to launch as many as 12,000 of these satellites to orbit the Earth by 2024. So seeing a string of lights like this may become more common over the next few years.